Tell us how you could, tell us how you could manage. Tell us how you could, tell us how you could manage.
This is InspireStation, your weekly dose of motivation. Good afternoon. Krystal, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, IB, and it's a pleasure to connect with you on this platform because, we're connecting in other platforms.
Absolutely.
So it's a really, really, really big honor for me to be on with you today.
Yeah, man. Really happy to have you here. And, it's important we have persons like yourself to come and tell your story. Really inspirational, and find that other persons. So many of us, we're all called to be leaders. Some of us get that call at an early age. Some of us get that call by chance. And knowing you personally, knowing your journey, where you're coming from, I thought it was very important, especially the time that we live in, where people looking for some form of positivity in their life, some form of hope. And I believe that your story is one that's truly inspiring. And hoping today that you can tell your story, and a young girl out there can be like, yeah, I definitely can do it, because you're out there and you're doing the thing. I'm really proud of you. Yeah, man. So what I wanted to ask is, how did you get involved in leadership? Was it something that started from an early age? Is it something you knew you would always get involved in?
No, so I'm going to have to quote what somebody said about me. A friend of mine from when I was at Manchester High School, Angelique Virtue, she said I was always a leader. She was listening to a conversation with me saying, no, man, I never started leading until I was at UA. And she says, no, she was always a leader, but it was just how she chose to lead. And I didn't see it that way. In my mind, leadership was position centered. So if you have a post, you have a role, you're a leader. But anything else, the most you could call it is influence. But because you're not thinking about it as a deliberate attempt to move people from point A to point B, you don't call it leadership. So it took somebody other than myself to see that I had been leading in high school, but not in the formal spaces at all. And certainly not in the most positive light. So it's like a ringleader, a gang leader, that kind of leadership. But if you wanted to pull on me for like arts, theater, drama, speech, anything like that, I could also pull a team together. We could write a skit and have a play ready, a performance ready, a dance group organized. So those things, that I look back at it, those are marks of leadership, to be able to pull people together for action and have something to show at the end of the day. But ask me when I was 15 and 16 if I felt like I was leading. No, I felt like the status quo was here, and I was way out left field as an outlier, trying to figure out who I wanted to be, and in the process just causing a lot of havoc.
Okay. So what was your first taste? What was your first taste of formal leadership, and how did that happen?
When I was in sixth form. It was actually when I was in sixth form. I had started another school, the Carteret College, and we had a cheerleading club. So the head of the cheerleading team sort of deputized me. So when she needed somebody to run a drill with a separate group, as she was doing something else, she would deputize. And then the next year I became the leader for the cheerleading team. And I was like, wow, I have to get people prepared for a competition. I have to get outfits and a routine and organize training. And when I say come, like, people have to be confident in me to actually move and show up on time and, be disciplined. That felt like a lot. So that's the moment I realized what it meant when it was on your shoulder, like the result depended on you and people are depending on you. It was through the cheerleading team. And then in that same time too, I was president for the debate society at the Carteret College. So while debating isn't as strenuous, you don't have to be pulling 20, 30 people together for a training, you still have to lead as well, because you have to come prepared. You have to show that you're learning the same lessons that you're trying to teach your other team members to apply. So that too, just being in the spotlight. If things go wrong, why did it happen? You have to be that person. So that's when it started for me.
Okay. You mentioned debate. I know, when you were at UA, you were part of the UA debate team. If you don't mind, just giving a little bit in terms of what you achieved where that was concerned, and some of the values or how that shaped you going forward.
So that is a very funny story. So I left the Carteret College with roughly about 2 years of formal debating, and that's what you call presidential style, right? You get emotion. Well, you know, because you did it, right?
Yeah.
You prepare your speech, and you don't have that pressure of just turning up and hearing for the first time what you're talking about and delivering a presentation.
Right.
And when I got to UA for the first year, we have block of blocks competition. I'm on block E. Now, block E is known to have your eloquent speakers, your debaters, all of that's supposed to be happening on block E. And my block rep says to me, like the day before, we want you to represent the block. And it's going to be judged by the university's debating society, their president and vice president and whatever going to be there. I felt my stomach curdle because I know who they are. For freshers debate, you'd have seen them, you heard them speak, you hear about their accolades, and I'm like, there's no way I can stand in front of these people who go foreign, go do this, and actually do well. And I have no experience just talking off the top of my head. My block rep had confidence in me. We did it. We won.
Wow.
And I was like, wait, this is a thing. Did I win because everybody was bad? No, these people are good. And I won. And the debating team came up to me after that and said, listen, you should come and try out for Worlds because, you know, we think you have what it takes. Come, try. Like, yeah, all right. So I went and try, right? But I clearly can't make the team. But, you know, they probably just want me to feel good. And I try. And I make the team 3 times in a row. Look here. Even on the 3rd try, right? At this time, I'm training people. I still cannot believe that this is me going on a plane to represent UA in debating. Wow. Just because my little block rep said, Krystal, I think you can do it. Go and do it. So in 2010, we were in Botswana and I won the World Public Speaking Competition. Same kind of fear as IB. What do you mean I must go out there and compete against these white guys? No. You hear where they come from? Princeton, Harvard, Oxford, Yale. Every time I say UA, they ask me what it mean. Right?
So from representing Jamaica, UA, beating all those top Ivy League schools.
It was intimidating. It was scary. And every time I talk about it, I feel the same emotions because you are now challenging every opinion you have of yourself. That you are just a little girl from a little country. You know, you don't have the experience. This is not your space. It's not your stage. Why you think you can do this? And I had to stand up and challenge that again because my little group from Jamaica had confidence in me. And that's just the power of community. When you don't see your excellence, I pray everybody has one person around them who sees more in you than you see in yourself, because that makes a big difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how do you then, you know, channel that? Like what drives you? So, you know, you got to that point in terms of what was your next challenge? So moving from debate to how did you get to PR? You know, how do you decide on, you know, what's your next challenge or your next 5-year goal, etc.?
So I never started doing visioning and goal setting for my life until I got to maybe age 20, 21. At this time, I'm, you know, I think I was just graduating from first degree and figuring out what I want to do for my master's. So at that stage now, the stakes are high. You're paying $1 million for the master's. You want to make sure that you're doing something that accelerates skill-wise whatever your potential is going to be in the workforce, whether Jamaica, CARICOM, EU, wherever it is you want to go. And so at that point, I had to start thinking, what do I want to be? You know, saying a successful something was just not enough anymore because now you're zoning into a field, a skill set. What do you want to be? And what does it look like to be that kind of person? And so that is when I realized I wanted to work in development for sure. And I wanted to work in development specifically related to small island states like Jamaica. And I chose disaster risk reduction as the core area of focus for my master's. But after that stage, you now have to figure out how to pay, right? So you establish that you want to study this. What will I do now that gets me the money to pay this bill? And at my first opportunity, outside of Nyamings, and I'll talk about that a little later, my first opportunity like to show up for a job 9 to 5 was actually with Senator Morris. He is still the head of the UA Center for Disability Studies, So he wanted somebody to produce his radio show. It's called Seeing from a Different Perspective. And I came in, produced it, week after week. Eventually, I was asked to produce the morning show for News Talk. One at the time, then RJR asked me to come and host something. I said, all right, cool. And then Francois, having seen and heard me consistently in those spaces, and of course through Festival Queen, you get another platform to share ideas and to advocate for something. And persons, as always, are listening. Do I like that voice? Do I like the way she thinks? Do I like how she strings the thoughts together? Could she be on radio? Could she be on TV? And Francois said, okay, come. I have a position at Fame 95 for a special projects coordinator. I want you to come and interview for the job. Got it, and I served there for 2 years. And that's when I got the skill set now for communication and public relations. So it's from doing all of that. They throw projects on your lap and say, we're having a road party, sort it out. We're having an execution on the university campus, sort it out. We need some ambassadors from all the colleges in Jamaica, sort it out. So you now have to figure out messaging, strategy, campaign, building audiences, growing Twitter followers. You ever get super creative to come through. So it's by being thrown in the fire that I learned the process, and of course met some of the luminaries in media who taught through observing them, through inviting you into a room, through training you, taught me what it meant to manage a brand. And the first introduction to that was through Fame 95.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about Nyamins.
So, you know what? I think that the overall message of my life is that I say yes. I say yes to things when I have no idea how it's going to work. And I don't trust that I have the competence. But if it sounds exciting enough, I just say yes. I'm just go along with it. And if I figure it out, all the better.
Say yes and figure it out.
And figure out the rest, right? So I got a Facebook message from one of my friends from UA. No, not from UA, from Manchester High. And she says, Krystal, there's this show. They have about 3 episodes done already, but they're going to be changing hosts. And they asked me if I know somebody who's engaging on camera, can manage conversations with people, meeting strangers and just feeling warm. And I thought of you. So if you can make this interview, please come. I missed the message. My other friend from Manchester High sent me a BBM, right? Because it was BBM at that time. Debbie's trying to reach out to you. So you don't see her message, check on Facebook, man. She's sending a message with some information for an interview. I catch it like maybe 2 days before I'm supposed to actually go. Show up. David Graham, who is the producer, gives me the script. I read the script. He comes back and he says, you ready? I says, yes. I gives him back the paper and he says to me, no, Krystal, you can keep the paper, and just, glance. I just want to see how you deliver the lines. I said, no, I got it. He said, you have all of it? I said, yep, I have all of it.
Wow.
Okay. And he says, 3. He's giving me everything, don't worry if you don't get the first take, we can do a second take and no pressure and blah, blah, blah. Says action. IB, I blow it out of the water. Verbatim. He's also looking at the paper because I'm delivering it like it's my line, not like I got it off a script. And he turns off the camera and says, first time you seen the script? I said, yes. So you remember the lines? I don't know, but I remember the lines and I didn't need the paper. And I landed the job from that audition. And David said to me, he was very, very stunned that as the only person who came in, after I read it, I could have given him back, add the personality, add the flair, and just deliver it calmly in front of the camera. And I've been doing Nyamings for 10 seasons.
Wow. 10
seasons. Yes. Every season, David says, well, you're still my host, so you need to figure it out. Whether politics, motherhood, nothing stands in the way of me coming to the Nyamings.
Yeah, so, nice. Yeah. Nyamins is one of our favorite programs, Really, really love you on that platform. So you mentioned politics. How did that even come about? Because I recall, when you were at UA, you demonstrated against the then PNP government. So how was that for you, at that moment? So if you can even touch on that, demonstrating against the government, were you scared? Were you worried how that may affect you? And then your transition to
I was. No, I was. I can't even tell you how scared I was. When we were planning that protest, at the time, Javon Neal, I can't remember if Javon was the the guild advisor at the time. I think he was.
Mm-hmm.
But he would have just left office as the guild president and taken over from Nairon, or was about to take over from Nairon. And Javon called the night before and he said, Krystal, I got a call from the registrar. They have heard about this plan to protest and mash up exam, and I'm advising you not to do it. I know you're passionate about this. I know you really want, I know, but Krystal, don't do it. By this point, my pressure done gone up already, right? I have established in my mind that protests are gone. Media are going to come. We're going to dress up in our shirt. We have the placards. We know what time. And then it all just got out of hand. But somewhere inside all of us as leaders, we knew it had the potential to get out of hand. But we didn't do anything to stop it. I think a part of us wanted it to spiral and to become something that you couldn't ignore and that you had to talk about. And that
what was the protest about?
So UA at the time had a policy that if you owed any money at all, whether it is your hall fee or your school fee, you can't sit your exams. And not only do you get barred, you get an automatic F. So students who at exam time cannot pay their fees clearly are depending on good grades to get a scholarship, right? Yeah. But in next year, so when you give them an F, they're still having difficulty to pay for that semester. Plus, they can't get any scholarship to come back for the next semester. So we thought that was unfair. We thought if they paid you 75% of their school fees, and by the end of the semester, when it's exam time, they haven't paid you all, just pause it. Just pause it. Let them come back and complete those subjects. Don't give them an F.
True. Yeah.
They can't undo F on the transcript, 1. And 2, if they offer hall fees, those things are 2 separate issues. Kick them off the hall. Let them sleep on a mattress out by the bus stop. But residence fees can't be allowed to impact somebody's academic transcript because SLB pay you all the money and that money covers the fee for exam. So why do you take that money, block them from the exam, and still give them an F?
Yeah. So
we were trying to communicate that to the registrar, and we just weren't getting anywhere. I mean, meeting after meeting, and they draw it out to the point where they say, no, policy stays, can't pay the fee, we're giving you an F and you can't sit the exam. So when that protest ended, they lifted that particular requirement for that period of examination. So everybody could go and sit their exams. And I gather maybe 3 or 4 years after that, they stopped giving people Fs for being barred from exams and unable to sit them. So
wow, nice.
you can come back and do the exam, but you don't get an automatic F. So it took a little while and we took a whole lot of beating for it. I mean, I remember the Minister of Education at the time, Ronnie Thwaites, on radio saying, you know, what kind of leadership am I providing? And, you know, it's irresponsible and it's reckless and I have no place leading. And I end up in exit meetings with Ronnie as president of the NPYO. So again, saying yes to things that you can't see all the way through. But on that point, I was really just passionate about the issue and angered by the injustice. And I'm happy that it didn't create a permanent barrier between me and the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in terms of you transitioning to the PNPYO, you know, I didn't see that. You know, how did that come about, and, you know, why was it important for you to get involved? Especially like now, so many young person be like, yo, I don't want to get involved in politics. It's too much corruption, or, you know, especially, you know, with a high rate of voter apathy, you know, how did that affect you in terms of your decision to get involved?
So from doing 2 years on the Guild of Students, seeing too that the history of the Guild is really projecting political fortunes, you know that once you get in there, you have a real shot at influence. You have a genuine opportunity to walk into some rooms of power, use your voice, and create some kind of change if you're serious enough. When I joined the YO, I was on campus as part of the parish organization, not extremely involved, but, you know, working with like Dex Roy, Damian Gordon, just the parish, they call it Region 3, so the Region 3 YO at the time. And then in 2018, I got a call from Basil Waite, who at the time was deputy general secretary for the party. I'm not sure if he still is. I think so. But he's also a candidate now as well.
Right.
But at the time, he had the oversight of the YO, and his job, because the YO was put in receivership now, so we couldn't do any voting or anything like that. We had to restructure the leadership. It had broken down. You know, the teams weren't working together. They weren't doing what the YO was supposed to do in the eyes of the party. And they needed somebody who could come in without the political history, you know, of fighting in elections for YO positions and, you know,
Right.
my side and that side. Pretty neutral. So I had no conversation with anybody. And we wanted somebody who could be like a neutralizing force, pulling everybody back into the room and see if we can restructure now and get some actual work done. Organizing your YO groups, getting young people enumerated, supporting at the constituency level your candidates so they can win them election. And then on a national stage, advocating and being a voice where you hear like there's a vacuum and a particular issue is not being touched. We make sure that our voice is heard. And broadly too, having the sort of credibility to keep the party accountable. So when you talk about something to the PNP, they will listen to you and not go, all I want there. So they needed some level of seriousness in that engagement as well.
Yeah, I mean, don't mean to cut you. In terms of at that point in holding the party accountable, I remember a document that the YO came up with about a year or two ago, and everybody was saying, yeah, her career done. I mean, where you made certain you made certain recommendations saying, you know, these are the changes that the YO need to make. And for me, it was pretty impressive and surprising because we haven't seen the YO being that vocal since probably like the 70s or 80s or early 90s in terms of holding them accountable. Like, you know, what makes you so fearless? Is it that, you know, you don't think about like, boy, you know, this may affect me later? Or, you know, you're just driven with service. You just need, if it needs to get done, you're just going to do it.
I think it's a mix of both of them. I don't calculate all the ways that it won't go wrong. I'm thinking, if this goes right, these are the things that could happen as a result. So somebody, and I have to pull people now on my team to that kind of strategic thinking, because I'm not weighing no cons. I'm weighing pure pros, right? Yeah, it's go kind of awkward, but if we do it, bam, 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 bam. So I need people to say, okay, hold on, Krystal, but also to help measure the risk when it comes to business, right? But I take the approach of, if it happens and if we do this right, these are the gains. Do we want to give up this opportunity to gain some ground? And for me, my answer is almost always no. We can't pass this up. We have to take a shot. I also believe in my own resilience. I genuinely don't think that there's like a human or a group of humans who could actually stand in the way of Krystal's life. I don't think so.
Wow.
I could be wrong, right? There could be somebody out there going, oh, that's what you think. But I really don't think that anybody or any group of persons could be so divine in their authority to calculate and say, no, this is a full stop for Krystal. I just don't think so. So that threat doesn't hang over my head, you know, of what will somebody do to stop you because you have done this.
Yeah. Wow, that's really impressive. And it's important that we believe in ourselves and listen to ourselves. That's really impressive. But taking a step back though, want to ask you about, you know, being a parent. You know, I know your daughter. How was that? Finding out the moment you found out that, you know, you're about to be a parent. You know, were you scared, excited? How was it?
I've not shared this on a platform before, but the September, I had traveled. Where did I go? I had traveled to a conference in September to California. And at the time I traveled, I was pregnant, but I didn't know. Now, when we traveled, we got caught in a hurricane. I think it was Maria, the most recent one, right? Mm-hmm. Shut down the airports. We couldn't leave. We had to spend some extra days there. And I'm guessing the stress from all of that caused me to have a miscarriage. So when I got back to Jamaica, I didn't even know I was having a miscarriage. I was like, you know, having like this pain and I'm not sure like what's going on. And they did the test and they're like, oh, you were pregnant and you're losing the baby. But it was maybe I want to say like probably 6 weeks. I want to say it was about 6 weeks. But at the time I found out, that process was almost at its completion, and I didn't get a chance to process it properly. I was just like, what? And that was when I started to think about it, like, okay, so if this is going to happen, like, what if it happened? Were you prepared? Like, you know, did you organize your life in a way that you'd be able to rest, that you'd be eating properly, that you could get your vitamins? What would you have to do better to prepare your body to bring life? Because my body just wasn't prepared. And it was from that point that I said, all right, let's think about parenting. I would start taking the prenatals and, you know, making sure that your body's in the right place.
Yeah.
So we had planned my pregnancy with Zia almost to a T. She came early, so that kind of threw out all the excitement about like baby shower. I didn't get to do a baby shower, I didn't get to do a photo shoot, all of them nice and stuff, right? I didn't even have a bag packed. Didn't even have a room booked, right?
Wow.
So much for that planning. But we planned in terms of, you know, conception, what we wanted the process to be like, how much time I wanted to spend at home, you know, just everything. So, when it became public that I was pregnant, there's this conversation about, you know, an pregnancy and, you know, not being prepared and the things that need to happen before you think about being a parent. And I'm saying, wow, look at you, like not even asking a question, but declaring that we are not ready because of your Christian values and your personal views on how people should start families. So that was the point. It became stressful. Just having people literally banging at the door, you know, wanting to have their opinions let in, and they wanting to hear them, and they wanting to think about what they have to say, and come back with the point on that. And I'm saying, this can't be how anybody, in terms of the chemicals releasing in my brain, anybody is supposed to be preparing for a child. So I really had to create some more mental fortitude and just close off the nonsense and just tune inwards to Krystal. What was Krystal supposed to do at this point? What is Moses supposed to do? What is my mother supposed to do? What are my friends supposed to do? And how do I communicate what I need from them? Because them can help me. The people in my mentions really can't help me. And this is a serious moment to create a community that you can lean on for parenting.
Absolutely. But how did that, in terms of, were you surprised in terms of those sort of comments? And especially as a woman, you find that that old time thinking that, oh, you're having a child out of wedlock, you know, how did that affect you, you know, going forward in terms of, you know, everything that was happening with you?
In the beginning, I was frightened. Like I did not think we were still here. The last time I saw it, and I think that was also the first time, was with Yendi's pregnancy. And I remember I was in UA, and I was thinking to myself, yo, Bombard, this is so strange, and people are serious. And I get emotional every time I share this. But one day, Yendi just messaged me. Like, she just messaged me a heart and a hug, and she says, I know, but it's going to be okay. My ball.
Wow.
I be a ball, right?
Wow.
Because that was exactly what was happening to me. The same thing that she had gone through. These people standing on the pedestal and telling you all the reasons your child is not legitimate and all the ways you're letting down the whole world, and nobody stops to think, but what do you want? You know, and how are you going to prepare yourself to do what you want? And I think it just speaks to her humanity, like as a person, recognizing that this is happening, it happened to me, and I remember how that felt, and I'm going to just reach out to her and let her know. You don't have to be alone in this. And if you need an example to know that you're going to survive this, and all of this is going to be bullshit in a few years, just remember me, right? It happened, and here I am. Yeah. So I remember that moment, and I just kind of turned on a bulb in my head, like, these people are always going to do it. There is no decade when they're going to outgrow this particular need to patrol a woman's uterus. And then they brought in other things, like, oh, you want to be a political leader, or you want to lead the country, you want to have influence in, you know, national leadership, and this is what you're doing. How much of their senators and members of parliament, men, are
True.
out there with them babies out of marriage. Nobody never have a problem with it.
True.
So how come it won't be a problem for me because I'm a woman? The uterus patrol is always active. No matter how woke we get, they're not going anywhere. And I just realized you can't think about them. You can't think about them because they're not going to change and they don't move. No matter how ideas change and principles change and all kinds of things change, they don't move. So you can't stay here with them. What is your goal? What's your point in doing all of this? And remember that purpose and work on it. And my purpose is to make a healthy baby who is raised in a healthy home, seeing parents relating to each other healthily.
True.
And just wanting to be a human, to identify her worthiness and to respect the worthiness in others. That's all I want to do. If I do that with Zia, I win.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So how has everything been, what has motherhood taught you so far?
Okay, it's a cliche thing I'm going to say. There's no manual. Like,
True.
I read the whole, what to expect when you're expecting, and you Google all the research and the data on brain development and what's going to happen at this stage, and, how to be a parent and self-care. But I think, read, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like I've never read nothing because it just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's not an exam that you can prepare for. And I've learned that, and I've learned to be okay with that, with being unprepared for her telling me no the first time. That was always something I was afraid of. When I was breastfeeding, I was saying to myself, boy, one day I'm going to ask you to do something or, say something and you're going to respond to me and you're going to reject me. Like, as your mother, you're going to say, no, you're going to box in my hand, you're going to walk away. How's that going to feel? And I have to just accept that when it happened, I will know how it feels. And I will be equipped enough to deal with it. I won't drop down and dead. Right?
Nice. Yeah.
So I've also accepted that process, like the need to learn as I go and be okay with learning while I'm doing. And it doesn't make you less of a mother that you didn't know how to make porridge, for example, 10 years ago, because I had to learn to make porridge when she born, right?
Mm-hmm.
That certain signs, you're just not going to know. It's not the instinct, that mother's instinct that people talk about. You don't automatically know. Something, somebody have to be on the outside and say, you don't realize that so and so and so. And it's either my mommy or my grandma or some other woman who has been there before kind of look and say, no, man, that usually means something. Like when they're fussing, feeling her mother, she said she's teething. She had a fever and I'm freaking out. Jesus Christ, I need to go to the... No, man, just touching her mouth and see if any little teeth coming out. You can't know that. You can't know that like that. I remember too, Empress saying to me, just kind of randomly, I had bought one of the baby slings from her. So she gave it to me. She just said to me, Krystal, listen, babies fall, okay? Baby going to drop. I just needed to accept that the baby going to drop. Don't worry about it. Doesn't mean you're a bad mother. The baby will be fine. They're so tough. They're like steel. Trust me. I've had two. I know.
Yeah.
And her saying that to me in the moment was all of like, why Empress telling me that my baby going to drop? And then Zia fell off the bed. And I'm thinking, God, you must be the worst parent in the world. How did you not know that you need to put up the rail? And then I remember her voice in my head saying, baby going to drop, okay? And Zia dropped like 2 times after that. And she's fine. But if Empress didn't tell me that, I think now I'd be carrying that guilt and wondering if her brain development will be stunted and if police come lock me up. But it takes somebody who's been there to just kind of say it, so it's a fact.
Absolutely. Something that I'm really proud of you, as a parent. I see the videos and everything, and it's really beautiful, seeing you in that moment, seeing the great young woman that you are, raising a young queen coming up, really proud of that. Before we did this interview, I remember I shared your title. So I said, Krystal Tomlinson, media practitioner, Krystal Tomlinson, TV host, young rising politician. And one of my friends from Monroe messaged me. He was like, IB, I didn't know how important it was to give someone their title until I saw what you wrote about Krystal, because I hate how she's always been reduced to being a man's girlfriend. And I'm like, yes, yes, because that's something I detest. And, you know, because I'm like, I know Krystal's story, where she's coming from, like literally, there's no name behind her, not coming from any rich or powerful family.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, everything that she has worked for, she worked hard to achieve it. And for persons, because, you know, her partner is the biggest dancehall artist that we've ever had, she's been reduced to being a man's girlfriend. So how do you feel about that? You know, when you hear that, you know, the first time you ever heard that, I'm sure you probably thought about that when the relationship started, like, and how have you managed through all of that?
First thing I want to say, IB, is thank you, because I've seen you tackle like that Twitter Times account about doing the same damn thing. And it takes people like you, especially men, to say to other men that is not okay. That's not it. And I appreciate you for doing that, like not letting it slide ever.
Absolutely.
I came to terms with that reality pretty early in the relationship, because even the way our relationship was made public was actually by force. So somebody had seen us at Rebel Salute in 2017. It was like January of 2017. And, you know, we got out together. By the time we're dating for maybe like 5 months now. But we're just now out in public, like big people public. We're going for dinner and ting. But large audience public now. Cameras are on. And, you know, with their vibing, Barris is on stage, bad love segment, with dancing to each other, hugging up. I get a call the Monday after I'm at work now. This time I'm at Digital Foundation. I get a call from a newspaper to say that they have a photo of us kissing, and they would like my comment on record whether or not we are in a relationship. And if I don't give them a comment, they're going to run the story as is, and they're going to go ahead and use the photo of us kissing. I nearly dead. Nearly dead. I've never had a panic attack until that moment. Me I tremble, my heart a race, cold sweat a washed me. I mean, I don't know what to do. And this is a job that is a big company. How can you have your public relations and engagement manager on front page of a newspaper? That no right. That like you must have to lose your work. And I remember going to my boss, Samantha Chantrell, and I told her, and Sam said, Krystal, I thought you were gonna give me some like terrible news. And like she called some other artist name, like she was saying, I thought you were gonna say something like you're there with this person, that person, that person. Yeah. Moses, no man, I'm good people that. She said, I have so much respect for him, he's such a professional, and da da da. So she's like, look here, if you're going to date an entertainer, I'm glad it's him and nobody else. So she gives me that like, calm down, girl, okay? And then she says, and don't worry, I'm the CEO, I'm in charge of my staff, so nobody can tell me who to fire, and there's no code of conduct that say you can't deal with him. So them know not to come to me with that bullshit if them have that to say at all. So I really don't know how many people came to her and said, you have to fire that girl. It's bad PR. She was like a barrier for that. I honestly don't know if anybody came, or if they came, how many of them came. I just kind of, you know, headed that off. So I was protected in my job once I did my work, right? Once, you know, there was no weird video or photograph in a compromising position, we're good to go. The fact that you're in a relationship is really nobody's business, and not because they make it public business is going to have me looking at you differently, because that really should be a private matter. And they were clear that if it was up to me, it would stay private. So in that moment now, I was saying to myself, all right, so this is a thing that people are going to do. They're going to try and force me to do or say things with the threat of, or else we're going to do this, or this is going to be a story. Do I want to be caged? No. Then there's this other thing now and there about, you know, dating a dancehall artist, and what that means you don't have any ambition and you don't have any pride. Because, and then if it was a reggae artist, you have ambition and pride. If it's a dancehall artist, there's no ambition and pride. So somehow there's a de-smadification based on the genre of music. So it's not dating an artist or entertainer. It's the particular genre that makes them not worthy of being in a relationship with you. And I said, do I want that to be a cage I live in? No. So what am I going to do to own this? Because this is my truth, so nobody can use it and beat me and make me feel awkward. But what am I also going to do to make sure that Krystal doesn't lose Krystal in the process? So I said, all right, let's have a conversation with Moses, you know. What does he see as a partner in this public context? What is he expecting? Is he expecting somebody who's just like out of the limelight, you know, nobody knows much and just kind of super private and secret? Are you expecting somebody who's going to be all out there, all over the place? And if you're going to a dance, I'm at the dance. And if you're going to date, I'm at this. What are your expectations? And he said to me point blank, Krystal, whatever you are comfortable with. I know my life is like a big old tree and to overshadow everything and everybody. So anything you are comfortable with. If we're somewhere you don't want to take a picture, you tell me you don't want to take a picture. If I'm going somewhere you don't want to come, tell me you don't want to come. If you want to stand up right there on the stage, you tell me you want to stand up on the stage with me. Whatever it is you are comfortable with. And so I got to choose. And not losing that power to choose and having a partner that honors that right to choose. To say, boy, I don't want to go this dance. I don't want to go this festival. I don't want to go this show. And they don't look at you like, oh, you're not interested in my thing. Are you ashamed of my thing?
Yeah.
It's you making a choice. Like, I'm not going to come to every politics rally. I'm not going to come to every something where, you know, you put on. I have that choice. And you have it too. Not because my audience bigger than yours. Your choice is less respected than mine. If you want to do it, I'll support it. If you don't want to do it, I'll support you. So that has been what creates the space to safely navigate and choose Krystal without feeling like, you know, you're somebody's something. And the last thing I'm going to say is that I've realized that a woman is always going to be, in the eyes of some, not everybody, the sum total of the men that she sleep with. And a man will be the sum total of the work that he put in.
True.
There's some people who can never see a woman for her work. Her worth comes down to who you're there with, who you did there with, how much people you did there with. And that's how you assess her. For some people, it doesn't get beyond the bedroom when they think about a woman. And for them, the man will always be that hardworking something. A young man who pulled himself up by the bootstraps and did this and did that. He's the sum total of his effort. And a woman is the sum total of who she dates. And I have to accept that some people not going to see life beyond those lenses.
True. That's so true. And I'm happy, you know, you look at it that way. But what I can say though is, the other day I was saying to someone, it's interesting when they're referring to Janet Jackson, they don't say Michael Jackson's little sister. But I would say in the early days of your relationship, it would happen a lot more. But I don't see it, if any at all, or as often. You know, just to show the good work that you're doing, you are Krystal Tomlinson. You know, you're not Krystal Tomlinson, Beanie Man's girlfriend. You know, so, you know, it also shows that, okay, yeah, definitely, you know, the work that you're doing, persons see that, and maybe it's a combination of our society changing, but also, you know, persons recognize that you are your own person as well. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is, you know, your book. So tell us about that book, you know, how Kill Fear.
Yes, Kill Fear, the Act of Courageous Living. So I started writing that book on that trip to California where we got stuck.
Okay.
And we planned to. I was there with my mentee at the time who had her book written already, but I think she was in the editing phase and kind of procrastinating. So the commitment from both of us is when we go back to Jamaica, I am going back preparing my transcript and you're going back trying to figure out your marketing and your printing for your book. We're doing this. So I started writing it there, and I was, you know, tossing topics up, you know, do I write about my teenage years? What do I write about? And I started to think about some of the biggest lessons I've had in life came with a lot of fear. There was never any next level that I got to without wondering, like, boom, this could be it. This is the big leagues. The stakes are high. What will people think? What if you fail at it? What if you're the only person that goes out there and nobody comes with you? Every time I had to turn like a major corner, there was a feeling of one or all three of those fears. And the only way I got past it is by conquering that fear. Like I had to remember, you know, you've done this before, so you can do it again. You come with an authority from your creator. You weren't here to sit down and receive. Otherwise, you'd be a plant in the corner of a room where the water you when they member. So you have a choice to take action in your life. You can do what you want to do, Krystal. Come on. Even if you fail at it, you can try it again. It's not a full stop. You can do it again. So I had to talk myself through all those fears and all those feelings of doubt and inadequacy and the whole thing. And I said, you know, I should write about that, because I know there are people who look at me and go, oh, she have it easy. Oh, she reach what she reach because, and I don't know what story they're telling themselves, but I'm sure they're telling themselves a story. And I said, this is an opportunity to use my voice to share who I am, because there's still a lot of people who don't know who you are, and see if there are any lessons in there that you can leave for others, almost like breadcrumbs. If anybody else is in this situation again, at least they have a reference point of how one other human being handled it. And so we wrote it and we published it.
And what was the reception you got after publishing?
It was really, really positive and inspiring. I remember one of the chapters where I was writing about my relationship with Moses, and I was saying, yo, maybe you should take out this part. Do you really want to talk about this? Do you really want to share that? And I was editing it down, and I'm like, Krystal, but come on. You're not trying to write like a Lifetime movie. There needs to be no happy ending at all. This is just the fact, and it is the truth. And the more comfortable you get with telling the truth, people will receive it. There's somebody out there who needs to hear this exact thing. And there was an entire movement of gladiators who just wanted, to hear those words, that I feel fear. Me, Krystal, feel fear. This is how I deal with the fear. I'm not where I am because I am fearless. Fear never come. No time at time, just born brave and full of courage. No, I had to develop that. And the more people understood that, who I admire, who I want to emulate, they started where I started. The reception had been in the launch stages of the book, because we launched it while I was pregnant. So even that factored into, I think, the appeal of it, because here I am just at the center of this kind of whirlwind and, you know, media storm. And you're writing a book and you're talking about courage. That, I think, also piqued the interest of other persons. Like, how do you stand in this storm and not feel like it's time to go hide? Yeah. Because I would be hiding. And it just gave me an opportunity to tell that story. And, you know, Kill Fear has been a gateway. I couldn't have expected it, but it has built a different set of, a different community, I should call it. Right. A different community of persons who we are admitting we're vulnerable, we hurt, we get scared, absolutely, but that has never been able to stop us. And even if it slow me down, it's not going to stop me.
Okay. I like that. Where is the book available now for if anyone interested to get a copy?
It's available on Amazon. We also distribute through Barnes and Noble and a few other smaller book retailers. In Jamaica, though, you can purchase your copy at Megamart, any Megamart store island-wide. So there's a branch in Kingston, Portmore, Mandeville, Montego Bay.
Okay. All right. So tell me about, your political work. I don't know, anytime now we're expecting election, be it late this year, early next year, since you've got that constituency, what sort of work have you been doing, and how things looking in terms of your work so far?
So I remember there are two things that stood out to me when I entered the representational politics. One was the response of the incumbents. My team and I take to calling her the outgoing MP. Like a mental psychological warfare. Yeah. But her response, that the day the news came out, I remember there was like a tweet with the story, and somebody said, "You see her response?" And I said, "No, I didn't see it." And they sent me a link, and I clicked the link, and it says, "You're blocked." It's like,
Oh, wow.
when? Like, I'm sure she was following me like the day before. And the day the news came out, bam, blocked me. And I said, but this is strange. Like, why would the politics have to start that way? I've said nothing. I've done nothing. I mean, it's just the news.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, Krystal, you have to be careful, because thinking that politics in 2020 is going to be collaborative work, respectful work, you know, we can be on opposite sides, but treat each other with a sort of mutual respect. Don't go in there with that fuzzy assumption. Prepare yourself to be targeted. Prepare yourself for people to spread lies. Prepare for people to put up roadblocks to discourage you from continuing. Don't think that everybody wants better representation and, you know, an open field and diversity and more women. They'll say it, but it doesn't mean they want it. So I had to get myself in the zone. We're not all friends, and it's just not going to be that way. And I had to get that clear immediately. Like, there was no calling and saying, can we discuss these issues on behalf of the residents? That now, right? It's just not going to happen. And I had to clear myself of that particular notion. But I think that the second and most important thing for me was realizing that I had entered representational politics, not for a seat, but from my place, like where me come from, a community that I was born and raised. I actually had emotional connection, history, passion, reason, people who I knew that could say, come girl, make we work on this together. I don't believe in politics, but I believe in you. Or, me did say me done with politics, but I'm coming back. Or me vote the other way, but I you, and I want to work with you to get this done.
Yeah.
Open my eyes to the possibility again in politics. It can be an agent that pulls people together if you are responsible enough as a community organizer. So I have on me now that onus to make sure whenever they come to me, whether with a complaint, whether they're saying something bad, whether they're frustrated, what I say next can either be the glue or it can detach them completely from it. So I now have that burden of keeping people inspired and focused and building a momentum and maintaining it. And it's difficult because managing people is difficult.
Oh, yes, yes.
So what we've done on our campaign is just establish 6 key principles. One that helps me when it's pressure time. Pressure is a privilege. When it starts get overwhelming and the phone will ring off and the WhatsApp and this and that, just recognize that that person's calling because they think you can help them.
Right.
They want a meeting with you because they think you can help them. They might cuss you off because they think you can do
You
better.
can help them.
That's a privilege. Like, there are people in the world that nobody depends on. Like, if they don't show up to work, nobody knows and nobody cares. At least somebody cares about you continuing to work and working well.
Yeah.
So that has helped to kind of keep me emotionally balanced and focused and still energized about the process, that when it gets difficult, don't kiss your teeth and say, Chuck, people are ungrateful, Chuck, can't, Chuck. No, it's a privilege. Clearly, they're depending on you to do something. So are you going to do it? Are you going to do it?
True.
So I've had to restructure life, like, completely. You know, the hours of work, how I take calls, how I set up meetings. I'm very bad at seeking like sponsorship. So I've had to like take my phone, call for partnership, call for support, call for aid, ask what I want, let people know what we need, and just open up the doors and the windows to say, whoever can help me, come and help. And that has been rewarding. It's a position of vulnerability, but it is rewarding.
Absolutely. So what would you say to any young girl, young lady out there who is going through life not sure what they want to do, or going through life facing criticism, saying, oh, you're too enough, you know, or, you know, why you want to get involved in everything? You know, what would you say to her at this moment, you know, for her to keep pushing?
Enough is a synonym for excellence, and people just don't understand that.
I love that.
It's just a synonym. When you think about the girl with them said enough in a school, and enough in terms of big and fat, is the fact that she raised her hand for everything. She has a question for everything. She's volunteering for everything. She wants to try everything. And that is a mark of somebody who will grow.
True.
That's all it tells you. If you think about every enough somebody from high school, where did they grow to? because the enoughness was a signal that I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to try, I'm willing to fail, I'm willing to ask, I'm willing to say my opinion, let my voice be out there. And it's in the process of raising your hand that you refine the strength to do. So try it. Don't ever feel like you're stuck in a particular version of yourself. I've had to change 2, 3, 4 times, and I'm just about to turn 30. And I've had different phases of metamorphosis because I'm paying attention to my life. And I know when I grow out a characteristic or a trait, I know when I grow out a community or a friend, I know when I grow out certain behaviors, and I just work with it. I grow it out. I don't like this song anymore, and that's okay. I like something else. I don't like going to this place anymore. I don't like talking to these people anymore. I know that I hate them. I just don't like it anymore. So I'm growing out of it. Same way, I don't like this profession anymore. I don't like this job anymore. I don't like this skill anymore. I want to invest and try something else. Mm-hmm. You're multidimensional. Don't ever think that if you did the sciences, it means you have to become a doctor. I think Terry Carroll is an excellent example of how you don't have to stay on the path that you start on. You can unearth new talents and become, let's say becoming, because you never fully get there. But you are becoming. Just keep opening your mind and your heart to that process and that journey of becoming who you are meant to be.
Okay. All right, Krystal, I mean, I want to really thank you. This interview has been really inspirational. Learned so much about you in terms of where you've been and, you know, where you plan to go in the future. Do you have any last words you want to say to our viewers and our listeners?
Don't watch people. Don't watch people. Whatever path you are walking on, focus on walking that path. If it's 3 steps you're going to take the 3 best steps that you can. Plant your foot, angle it in the right direction, and walk with that as much balance and stability as you can muster. Don't watch people. You will lose your focus, you will lose your balance, you will lose your direction by keep looking to the left and to the right to see if everybody else is going where you are going. Figure out what you want to do, and usually that sense of passion is a cue that this is something you would enjoy. Set a clear goal around what you want to accomplish as soon as you're clear on what that passion is, and just be forgiving and compassionate with yourself as you're taking these steps. Life is a game that is learning centered. It's how well you learn as you go that's going to improve your gait, improve your stride, improve the distance that you run. If you're not learning as you live, you can't pick up the speed and the momentum that you need.
Absolutely.
If you find that you've been going slow for 10 years because you're not learning at the pace of life, so you're letting the lessons fall and you're not putting them to good use. So grab the lessons, put them into play, focus on your race and run it to the best of your ability, because only you get your lane.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate that. And all the best in your political journey. You know, we're watching you and we're expecting great things, and continue to kill fear and be fearless.
Thank you. Thank you so much, IB. I really appreciate sharing with your audience. And if they grab the book, tell them to email me. All right, guys, if you buy the book, my email address is on the back cover. Send me an email. Let me know you've gotten it, and we can send you some additional free resources to help you as you read.
Love that. All right. Thank you.
Tell us how you could, tell us how you could,